Welcome to another segment of ACRPtv. Today, this is part of our ongoing series talking to different professionals with different career paths in the clinical trial arena. We're doing the day in the life of a project director, and Sara Rich is with us today. She's the Covance Global Project Leadership Team member, one of the directors at Covance. Sara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about your overall role as a project director at Covance. And I know this is a bit of a loaded question for people in this industry, but describe a typical day as much as you can.
Yeah, so I always think of someone in the project management, project director role as an orchestra conductor, someone who is taking a diverse group of people and making sure they play in tune, on tempo, headed in the same direction. And that's probably a good overview of most of our days. Right now, as a project director, I provide oversight and support to clinical trial programs, usually for small biotechs that have more than one trial with our company. And a typical day, I would say, like everyone, I check my 400 emails every day. I try really hard to only touch emails once. So that has given me a good reputation to be a quick responder, but mostly it's a survival tactic. Get those easy wins out of the way. Some of those harder emails might sit a little bit longer. I sit through meetings every day, maybe 2, maybe 7. And then the rest of my day is filled with all of those various tasks that we have, deliverables for my client, deliverables for my team, deliverables for my company. I try to book that time on my calendar so that not only do I have the time to do it, but I get that nice little Outlook reminder to remind me of what's due. And that is probably what takes up all of my day, telling people what to do, being told what to do, and working in collaboration to get the job done.
Now, obviously, you weren't a project director on day one. That takes a lot of expertise, a lot of seasoning, a lot of experience, a lot of skill. Talk about how you got into this field and a little bit about your career path within it.
Yeah, well, I majored in communication in college, so I don't have a scientific background. And to be transparent, I did not even know that clinical research existed when I was in college. I had a friend who was looking for an entry-level clinical trial administrator at a small CRO here in Cincinnati. And I interviewed for the job and I got it. And, I took a tiny pay cut to take that job with that CRO. And looking back, I would never recommend that in a million years. Women, negotiate your salary, whether you're at the top or the bottom, negotiate that salary. But I justified it to myself by saying, there's really an infinite future of possibilities in this field. And while I wouldn't recommend taking a pay cut, it absolutely was a fantastic decision for me because 17 years later, I've slowly worked my way up the ladder, and I'm so thankful that I did. So I worked as a CTA in an admin level. Then I became a monitor, a clinical research associate, traveling all over North America, monitoring trials. Then I became a project manager, providing management at a trial level. And then in the last year, I was promoted to a director level where I support programs.
Well, I certainly get your point about negotiating and pay cut, but you can't say it hasn't worked out for you pretty well, the path you've taken. So I can hear in your voice, and you're talking about your 17-year career. You're obviously passionate about this industry. What about it fires you up?
Well, I would say what makes me the most passionate about my job is really remembering the patient who is sitting there waiting for that life-changing medication. This field is tough. This job is tough. We have tough clients. We have tough colleagues. We're all trying to get on the same page. But really what keeps me going and helps me leading a team forward is knowing that I have fingerprints on some of the most important medications on the market that are really saving lives. And when we do have those tense moments, or we're trying to get people on the same page, really bringing it back to that patient sitting at the doctor's office, waiting for their infusion or their medication is what keeps me going.
It's a higher calling indeed. Now, I know you and I have talked before we got on the air today. I know you speak to student groups frequently and do presentations. What kind of advice do you give younger people who are considering clinical research? Either they've never heard of it, or maybe because of COVID now they're a little bit aware of it. What do you tell them about going into this field?
Yeah, so, COVID's been a national, a global tragedy, of course, but the one thing I say that I appreciate is that people now know what my job is, what many of our jobs are. It's really been at the forefront of the world over the last year and a half. And so first off, I'd say, go for it. Take that job. This field is incredibly rewarding. It's flexible. Many of us work from home, as you can see here, us interviewing in our offices. It's a female-friendly field. I'm surrounded by other women and working mothers, and as a working mother, being able to work from home and have a flexible environment is pretty priceless. And the people working with you are world changers. I look back at this last 17 years, and the people that I've worked with are passionate, brilliant, and really care about changing the world. And then probably the basic advice I give is never say that's not my job. Something that I've always tried to model over my career is wanting to learn more. And for people that want to climb that ladder and move into different levels at their job, really taking initiative, always saying, what else can I do? What else can I learn? How can I step outside my comfort zone and do something new? That has stood me well, and that's what I encourage other new to industry people to do as well.
Excellent advice. And here's to another 17 years of success. Really enjoyed talking with you today. This has been our ACRPtv segment on a day in the life of a project director. We've been speaking with Sara Rich with the Covance Global Project Leadership Team. Sara, thank you so much for joining us and for your great input today.
Thanks for having me.